So I'm not completely sure how to go about starting this video, but I'm going to talk about my mental health and how it affects me. I struggle with a few different things: depression, anxiety, agoraphobia, which is basically the fear of outside and people. It makes me very anxious, the thought of it. And I know quite a few people struggle with lots of different anxiety disorders and lots of different levels of depression. So my biggest struggle with mental health is the lack of ability of other people understanding it. So if I'm having an off day and I don't feel like talking to anyone, or if I'm being blunt because I don't really know how to talk back because I feel so anxious, they'll just think I'm angry at them, or think I'm faking it for attention. And I've always had my whole life faking. It's like, I'm not faking, you just can't see. It's because you can't see what's in someone else's head. You can never fully know what's going on. You can't say anything until you know someone's story, but often people don't care enough. If you give someone enough time and hear them out, then it's so easy to help. Coming onto coping mechanisms and help. Listening, having someone to listen, being able to vent, having someone there to just listen, who's willing to be patient. I will try and calm myself down through deep breathing. I do in for 4, out for 6, in for 6, out for 8, in for 8, out for 12. And I do that over and over again. I hope that was helpful. It probably wasn't. But I hope anyone who's going through anything, I hope it all passes over and that everything turns out okay for you.
I'm Freya, I'm 16 and I live in Oxford. I've been asked to create a video on my mental health. Personally, I don't think I have any bad mental health. We all feel sad sometimes, and these are how I cope with being sad. I also have dyslexia, so I've had to cope with that throughout my entire life. And I kind of been bullied since I started school till even now. Basically what you have to do is just accept your flaws and work through them to a way where you can feel comfortable with yourself. I've used so many different kinds of therapy and different kinds of coping mechanisms with this. I've been in private classes, I've had home tutor, I've had hypnotherapy, I've had regular therapy, I've had art therapy. My main way of coping with my sadness and stuff is to isolate. If I feel sad, I sit in my room and I paint or I draw, listening to some really loud music just to block out everything and feel alone with myself for a bit. I have quite a small group of friends because, well, it helps me feel comfortable with myself. I don't like to be alone, but I don't like to be in big groups. Going to festivals is a bit different though, because there's so much colour and brightness and happiness going on there that I can deal with it. But if I'm just chucked into a busy place with nothing, just completely alone without my friends, I panic. If I go into the centre of Oxford, or if I go into London and I'm on my own, I'm gone. I'm just unhappy, uncomfortable, I feel awkward, and it's just not an easy situation for me. Much like if I'm alone with somebody I don't know very well, I'm a bit like, do I trust you, do I not? You've got to find people you're comfortable with. Another way I cope with this is I listen to music. If I'm really sad, for some reason I'll listen to sad music and it'll make me feel happier, and then as soon as you get that kind of key 30 seconds of feeling happy, I switch my music into something happy, which I listen to a lot, and I feel my normal self again. Another way I deal with it is I basically cry. There are days where I feel so low and the only situation is to cry, because if you cry, it makes everything you feel real, and it points out your flaws, it points out that you're sad, but it helps you deal with it. So if you've been in a really good relationship or something and they break up with you and you try and bottle up all your feelings, it will take you so much longer to get over that person than if you just cry. This is why I want to go into therapy, into art therapy, because I know it can help. I tend to just support people around me rather than support myself, because I know if I do something for somebody else, it'll make me feel good. The best, most reliable way to feel happy is to help somebody else, much like the best way to learn something is to teach it to somebody else, because by doing something for someone, you've given yourself a different kind of happy than going inside and buying your new favourite laptop or your new favourite game, because that is very short. As soon as you've bought something brand new, you get bored of it because the next best thing will come out. But if you do something for somebody else, like you just help them by giving them a hug, or you help them by just saying, all right, we're going out because you need some air, then that'll be so much more rewarding than doing something purely for yourself.
So recently I've been doing a form of meditation that revolves around staying present. You start this off by you sit down and you think, how does my hand feel? And you focus on what it feels like inside your hand, which sounds really strange, but if you do it, it does actually, you can feel it. And then from the inside of your hand, you work up your arm, and then you start with the other hand and you work up that arm. And then you move down to your legs and you focus on how your feet and your legs feel. So you can just feel your whole body, and it really grounds you in the moment. So, and then you can, if you want to, you can have a look around the room, and instead of looking at where you are and seeing objects and how they relate to your emotions, you just take in what you see. You don't think anything about it. You just stay completely present in that exact second and think about what there is in your life in that very second, not what your anxieties for the future are, not how you feel about the past. And then from this state of being present, you can think about what the emotions that are bothering you are. You can think, if I'm present right now, so this thing that happened yesterday, it doesn't need to bother me now. This thing that might happen tomorrow, that doesn't have to be a problem at the moment. And if it is, then you can think about it much more logically with fewer intrusive emotions.
Hi, I'm Lauren, I'm 17, and this is my video for the mental health YouTube video. I suffer from depression, and I also have an eating disorder that causes me to binge eat. There have been times in my life that I have needed a distraction. It's difficult to use a distraction and difficult to find one that works for you. The biggest one I found for me is listening to music very loud. It takes your head off of what you're thinking and makes you focus more on the music. Another one that I find helps a lot is drawing. I like to draw my emotions out and how I'm feeling, or write it all down on some paper, and it just helps you start to feel better by releasing how you're feeling. I would say the biggest struggle for me to do with mental health would be my self-confidence and how I feel other people look at me. It's just a huge difficulty, like waking up and feeling bad about yourself, or going out and wondering what other people think about you. It's a huge struggle that a lot of people have, and I feel like it's not spoken about enough. My advice to someone who's watching this is speak to someone. A problem shared is a problem halved, and honestly you will feel so much better for just getting the weight off your shoulder and letting someone know, no matter how big or small the problem is, that people care. There are people out there that care about you and who are there to help. I would help anyone. I would stay up till 7 o'clock in the morning talking to someone if I needed to. Everybody has one person like that in their life, whether they feel they do or not. Some of the stigmas linked to our mental health, I would say, are that it's bad. that being depressed is a bad thing and you shouldn't talk about it, or you're attention seeking and that type of thing. But I think if you're depressed, you should talk about it and you should let people know how you're feeling, because it will help you emotionally and inside start to feel better. I don't feel anything really helps me when I'm going through a tough time. I think I like to deal with it myself and just get on with it. However, going out with my friends and being around people I know love me is very helpful, and it kind of speeds up my process of feeling better. I don't feel mental health is given enough attention. I think that it needs to be spoken about more in schools, and that people need to understand that it's not just being depressed, it's not just having anxiety. There are so many mental disorders and mental health problems and issues out there that I think it just needs to be spoken about more, honestly.